So last night in the briefing, they said we weren't going to be flying because it's going to be raining. So 1 o'clock I went to bed, and now this morning we got a text message at 6:30. Say there's a briefing at 7, expect to fly. I don't think so.
To be first? You must be first.
Right then, so we're in the motorhome, just waiting for the old grudge, and we're on our way down to Margate, to Manston Airfield, to the British Open Paramotor Championships. We're a bit late, it's 22:11 already. We were going to set off at 9, and I've got to go into town first, try and find some gas for the old motorhome. We've got no gas, and the bottles on it are Portuguese, so more money to be spent. Anyway, I'll catch up with you soon. So it's been a bit of a trial by error. Had a few technical problems. I think I did some videoing on the way down here. I'm actually at Manston Airport at the moment at the British Open Paramotor Championships. I did some videoing in the camper on the way down, but I think I've had a bit of a memory card error because it came up with some kind of thing on the screen saying error, and asking me if I want to recover the files and all that kind of stuff, and I don't know. Pressed yes, but nothing happened. But anyway, I'm down here, we're at Manston. We'll have a little look round in a minute. So the old retractor ready to go. Competitor's trike. To find out where you put the sugar. Hope it's not too windy. Oh, that's where you put the sugar in the tank. We'll get to that later. What's this? Oh, this is a beast. Oh my gosh. There we are. And the old camper. Chubby Chasers, it's me from the future. I'm going to tell you a little bit then about what happened at the competition, but before I do, I wanted to send out a couple of quick thanks. First of all, thanks to Bob Bauer, Discovery Paramotors and Retractor Trike over there in Australia. They contributed towards my gear. I got an excellent deal on the Discovery and the Retractor. As I said, the Discovery 4 is a prototype, but I was given it at cost. So thank you, Bob. That was in support of me and everything that I do here in the UK at the moment. And also a big thanks to Minari Engine, who gave me this whacking discount on a brand new Minari engine, knowing that I was entering the competition. So Minari, over there in Italy, thank you very much for your contribution. It was well received. So those are the main thanks. I'm going to get into it then. What happened? Tuesday we arrived. We arrived fairly late in the afternoon, early in the evening, around about 6 o'clock, and it was a flyable Tuesday. A couple of the guys and girls were out there flying. I decided to have a beer instead. Needed a bit more rest, but we had driven down a long way. I just set up the gear, set up camp, and decided to have a beer and chill out. Wednesday morning was the first flyable non-competition day, and I decided I wanted to go for a quick flight, test out the gear, make sure everything was working right, and also to get my bearings on the airfield. So I had to go and see Barney in the morning, Wednesday. He gave me a one-to-one briefing on all the no-fly zones. There's a few nature reserves and stuff like that around, and a few areas where he didn't want people bothering, and a couple of big no-fly zones around the airfield to do with other airport activity like helicopters and man-powered aircraft competition that was going on that weekend too. So I went for that briefing and decided to go for a fly. My first flight, as I said, was just a quick circuit around the field. It was really to get myself up to a bit of height, cut the engine, on tick over and come back down to do a spot landing, just to get the feel of the field, and as I said, just to check out the gear. Now I'd reassembled it. We disassembled the old retractor and the Discovery for the journey down. The flying window closed then, sort of about Wednesday lunchtime, but reopened Wednesday evening. So I decided to go for another flight, and this time I took off, flew out of the gate because the competition has gates that you go out and back in through. Flew out of the competition gates, flew a wide loop around the whole of the area, the airfield, came back in through the in gates. And then decided to do a glide landing too. 500 feet, that's quite high. I did glide land, I did land where I wanted to do, a bit stupid really, but I decided just to spot land on the threshold of the runway with the power down at idle. Managed to do that, but then when I landed I realised I was miles away from everybody else, so I had to power taxi my way back to civilization. That was the first flyable day, that was the Wednesday. So during the Wednesday, before those two flights, there was official registration then for the competition. We'd all registered and paid ahead, but we had to sign our lives away and we had to present our equipment for inspection. Right, okay, so this is where you sign your life away. And those are my numbers. 84. Dan gets number 1. Number 1 for Dan. 84 for me. I don't think that's right. I think you've got my numbers there, Dan. Pilot's signature and the date. What is the date? 28th of June. It's nearly July. The competition relies on navigation using an ordnance survey map. You're not allowed GPS navigation unless you're in the discovery class. You basically have to navigate reading an ordnance survey map and making your way around all the various tasks. So we were checked for GPS navigation, we were checked for anything that was slightly competition illegal, but also checked for safety. You know, we had somebody just scrutinise the gear, making sure that we were all safe. A little bit overzealous, if you don't mind me saying, talking about putting thread lock on nylock nuts and rubbish like that. Read your manual, that's what I say, don't listen to what other people say. Read the manual on your paramotor, and my manual doesn't say anything about thread lock on nylocks, and why would you? But anyway, that's my little beef. So that was it, we presented there. Dan was there trying to sabotage me. I think there's been some shenanigans going on there by young whippersnapper Dan Jones, because I think he recognised the competition, and I think any chance he got, boom, in there with a bit of sabotage. And I'm fairly sure that he started by knocking the compass off my map board. Look at that beautiful retractor try. Why did you knock the compass off my map board, Dan? Are you frightened, mate? Oh yeah. Hey?
All that rest you've had, you know, you might actually...
I know, look, fucking sabotage by Daniel Jones, who's knocked my compass off my map board. Yeah.
Look at this smart shit.
Hey. Kit checks. Oh, look at that. That's good. Here's Dan boys with this secret weapon. His fuel bottle. There's a big thing. I'm not talking about Sam. Right, chubbies. Got a bit of a helicopter action going on here. Down at the Paramotor Championships. Bit of steering going on. How you doing, fella? All right? Now it's passing all the tents, doing that sad vlogging thing, you know, with everybody watching you. Anyway, you've just been for the kit check, and I've had my nylock nuts scrutinised because I've been told when the weather gets warm they melt, but I'm sure they do in some countries, not in the UK, although it is quite warm. Like, you know, hand swap, pushing the trike. There's some big trikes here. There's some big trikes. Oh, look. And we've got some Irish fellas too. Speak good English. Yeah. Keep walking and talking. Right then. Bit of an Irish campsite. Irish. Oh, it's a long way. It's hot. Southwest PPG. Southwest Paramotors. There we go, guys. Get your paramotors from Southwest Paramotors. Oh. A few Viterazzi flags. Oh, Sam Smith. Sam's Paratard. And it's hiding. A few campers coming in now. Quite a few, 70 pilots entered. Fucking hell. It's hard work.
All right.
I've got a helper.
All right, cheers. What, chopsticks?
There you go, chubsters. Got a helper. He's not a very good fucking steerer though, is he?
No.
Watch this other marshal. Look, he's a bit dodgy.
You're in here, look.
I haven't signed a waiver form yet,
What's that for?
in case I do or say anything inappropriate that you may post on the internet.
Yeah, such as?
Well, everything I say and do.
That might be wise to do the paperwork first. Then.
Yeah. Right then, a quick catch up. What's been happening? Well, as you know, we're at the 2023 British Open Paramotor Championships, and we got down here on Tuesday. It's now Thursday. Yesterday was a bit of a test fly day and briefing day. I think Tuesday night a couple of people went for a fly. I went for a fly Wednesday morning and Wednesday night, and we had a briefing 9 o'clock last night about flying today, because today's the first day of the Paramotor Championship.
Thank you all very much for coming. We promise to do our best to make this a fantastic experience for you, a fun experience, an exciting experience, and a learning experience. We have a general pilots group for all pilots. That includes more chat. I'm already really pleased that it's starting to be a community retractor trike and airworks.
Thank you very much.
We had the briefing at 9. We were given the maps, and then with the maps there's a bit of work to do with them, plotting your routes and using highlighters to mark the very faint lines that's on all the maps and everything, and cover it in Fablon as well, make it waterproof and rip proof and things, so you can have it on your map table in the air. So when we had the briefing at 9 o'clock, thankfully they told us there'd be no flying the next morning because of the weather. It was due to rain. Well, there it is. The deed is done. It's 0:41. That's 12:41 in the morning. Luckily, it's raining tomorrow morning because the flying window's 7 o'clock. That'd be 6 hours sleep, and I like my sleep. So, fingers crossed it stays rainy. But the job's done. This, it looks like a map. It's actually 4 pieces of A3 printed paper covered in Fablon. It's everywhere. Some discos just to keep me happy, and a little bit of orange, but this mess everywhere at the moment now. I'll be in trouble. But there it is. There's the map table. Deed's done. Here's some of the routes. So, and the turn points. Turn points in orange. You get points for every one that you cross. And this is the snake route. You've got to fly that accurately, and you get scored on that. And there's some timed tasks here as well. Oh, shattered. So glad we're not flying in the morning. Gonna go and get some kip. Yeah.
So last night in the briefing, they said we weren't going to be flying because it's going to be raining. So 1 o'clock I went to bed, and now this morning we got a text message at 6:30. Said there's a briefing at 7, expect to fly. I don't think so. To come first, you've got to be first. To be first, you've got to be first. Look in there. Girly swat, head in the books.
So I was up till about 1 o'clock, doing the Fablon on my map and everything, and I thought, well, we're not flying in the morning. It's highly unlikely. So I had a couple of ciders and the odd beer. And then at 6:37, my bladder got me up again, because that happens a lot when you get a bit older. And I checked my phone as I was going to the toilet here in the old motorhome, and there was a message from Barney, who's the lead, and he said, oh, the weather's flyable this morning, looks like we'll be flying, meet us in the marquee at 7 o'clock for a briefing. And it's like 6:37 and my eyes are closed, and so I had to quickly get myself together and get down there, and I had my fingers crossed though that we weren't going to fly. And during the course of the briefing, between 7 and about 7:30, 8 o'clock, it started raining, thank goodness. But now it's not stopped raining, so I kind of just wanted it to be a bit wet till about 10 o'clock, give me a chance to wake up and get myself organised. And it's now, what time is it? Oh gosh, it's 2:15 in the afternoon, and it's still chucking it down. I don't know whether you can see in the background, the windows are a bit misted up. So that's it. So what we did is we've had a show and tell today. We've been showing each other gear, some interesting equipment down there in the marquee. Showed them the old Discovery 4 and the retractor trike. But now we just sat waiting for the weather to clear up and the grass to dry, because everything's wet through. So not looking good. This is Thursday. We've got Friday and Saturday left to fly, maybe Sunday morning as well, depending on how much we manage to get done over the next couple of days. So that's it. So I'm sat here now in the camper. I've just had some hot dogs and waiting for it to stop raining and to dry. It's a bit gusty as well, but the old foot launch pilots, they're not so worried about the gusty wind. It's a bit more challenging in a trike because there's always the risk of the wind pulling you backwards and turtling you. That's the problem. So I'm hoping that the wind dies down and the rain stops. Otherwise, it might be 0 points for everybody, all joint winners. Come in first. There we go. Right, I'll let you know if anything else happens. wet and rainy. So Thursday morning then, too rainy, and we sat out most of the day until the early evening, and then suddenly the clouds seemed to disappear, the rain stopped, and the skies cleared up. So we had a flying window. The wind had picked up a little bit though, got a little bit more windy, and I noticed that winds were forecast for over the weekend. So we swapped rain for a bit of wind, but we did manage to get up. So Thursday afternoon, first real opportunity to fly, and suddenly everybody was out.
Good luck, babe.
So my plan then, it was to fly out through the gate, and we'd had a switch in the wind direction. Previously, when we'd had the Wednesday flying day, the wind was coming from the south, so we took off through the south gate. On the Thursday though, the wind had switched more northerly, so we took off through the gate that's more to the northwest. The plan for me was to take off, fly over the gate, and then was to cut my teeth on the competition by flying over some turn points. And I thought if I dial in the turn points, then what I'll do is I'll enter the gate to one of the snake tasks and try and complete the snake task. So that was the plan. Now, sadly, I didn't get any video for this. It's a bandwidth thing. So I found with a new style of flying using an ordnance survey map in a competition with a map board that wasn't quite right, getting everything dialed in so that I can fly hands-free was challenging itself while navigating using an ordnance survey map. And to add the extra complication of a camera and a voice recorder was just a bit too much. I did take them with me, but I never set any of my cameras going. I had two, and I never set the voice recorder going. I was just too preoccupied with what I was doing. And when I set out over the gate, I think I set out over the gate, my first task was to let the trims out, but then just balance the trims. I have a slight left-hand turn at cruise, and I just wanted to balance the trims out so that I flew straight and level, so that I could weight shift to steer. And by the time I'd kind of got that dialed in, I was nearly over the coast, and then had to steer myself back in and try picking up some turn points. So my thoughts then, my reflections on the turn points and the snake task. Well, I had a couple of issues. The first issue was being able to see the turn points well enough on the map with these old 55-year-old eyes. So I've corrected vision for distance. I wear contact lenses, and they're mainly focused on distance. And with these contact lenses, I'm able to read fairly well, usually enough for work, and provided that the detail isn't too fine. But it was my first learning point on the maps. Some of the details were extremely fine, like little symbols of churches, etc. And these were escaping me. I didn't realise at first, when I'm looking for these turn points, I'm trying to navigate by looking at shapes of the road and where the edge of the field is and things like that. But I didn't realise each of these turn points is actually over some kind of a location, such as a church or a crossroads or something like that. Now, the crossroads, that's fairly easy. But symbols like churches, I didn't even notice were there. And I didn't realise till I got back, and I put my wife's glasses on, because I said I was really struggling with the turn points, that I realised that you've probably got to have good vision as well for the chart. So if you're a bit visually impaired like I am, make sure you've got the right correction for your vision while you're doing these. So I found them a little bit more challenging. What's really challenging is, look, navigation's fairly easy, because what you do when you navigate, even if you're navigating by a chart, is you look in the direction you want to go, you look for something that's along the track that you want to fly, and you head towards it. So a power station or a big town or a bridge or something like that. And that's the way that I normally navigate when I'm flying, and I just head in that direction. The navigation's relatively easy with visual flight rules. But when you navigate with an ordnance survey map, it's a completely different skill. And you've literally got to keep an eye on where you are at all times, because if you drift off a few fields or over a different lake or a different wood, you can very soon become disorientated and lost and find that you don't really know where you are and where you're going. So it was a little bit challenging, and but I did get into the swing of it. You know, the first turn point was relatively easy. I missed the easiest turn point because I hadn't highlighted it on my map. The second turn point got a little bit easier, and I really felt that I was getting on track with the turn points and the navigation. So the idea was I was going to pick up a few more, and then I was going to have a go at the snake task. But I'd been out for a while, 50 minutes, something like that, by the time I'd picked up a fair few turn points. And then I discovered I was lost. I didn't know where I was. And no matter how hard I scrutinised the map, I couldn't get my bearings. And it was weird, because I could see things that I knew were on the map, but it was my orientation to it that was really difficult. And I could remember seeing a lake down there. You know, it was like a triangular shaped lake. I could see it. It was down below me, but I could not see a triangle shaped lake on my map anywhere. And I got myself a little bit sort of disorientated. So there's a couple of tips behind that. It's either go and orientate yourself over something that's very obvious, or backtrack to your last turn point and have another look. I opted for neither. I opted to start heading back, and the reason that I did that is I'd been up there a fair while. I'd learnt a lot. I was having a great time. I'd got myself lost, and my head was already full of it, and I thought I'm going to make my way back. But as I tried to make my way back, I tried to pick up a few more turn points. I knew the direction I needed to go in, that was northeast. I could see where I needed to head to. And what I was trying to do then is I looked on the map and I was looking at the track I was roughly taking from the rough area I was in, and identifying turn points, and I was just veering left and right to what I thought might be these turn points, but without scrutinising them in a strong way, and just in case there were a few bonus turn points on the way back. So I was out altogether for about an hour and 20 minutes, and when I came back into land, wind had switched again. It was now coming from the east, so I had to sort of fly in and then turn right as I came in through the southern gate. And that was my first ever flight in any championship or any competition. And I did want to reflect on it because I had an amazing time. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't out as long as a lot of the more experienced people. I didn't do as well as a lot of the other people. I didn't even attempt the snake task that I was going to do. I was just turn point picking. But the experience was enjoyable, and I think it gives you something to do when you're flying, you know. When you're up there and you're buzzing around, I guess for some it's just nice to take in the view and to kind of relax. But this gave me something to do, gave me a task, and I really enjoyed that. So I got down feeling really pleased with myself and feeling as though that I'd done quite well. So that was it then. That was the Thursday evening. So Friday morning there was a flying window that opened. And I think it opened at 7 o'clock. No briefing was needed. It was more navigation tasks. But it was a very short flying window. I think it was about 3 hours. And the reason for that is that the winds had started to become a problem. And it was windy in the morning at 7, but they were due to pick up and to become quite strong. And I did that procrastination thing. So I'd set my alarm clock for 6:30, but the routine for me is get up, have a coffee, try and orientate myself. That's my normal morning routine. That had taken me past the 7 o'clock window, but then I had to go and fuel up. And you can't just fuel your paramotor at your tent or your motorhome. You have to go to the fueling area. So I had to go down to the fueling area with my fuel the paramotor up, bring the remaining fuel and the paramotor back to the motorhome. Then I had to go back down again, all the way back down to the marshal's tent. I had to pick my tracker up from the briefing tent because you put your tracker on charge overnight. Pick my tracker up, marshal's tent, logged out, went back to the paramotor, and then joined the stack to take up. During that time, I'm sure it was about 8:30 by then, at least one of the trikes had got up. I don't know whether any more got up, but Alex got up, and he was gone in the morning. He got up when the winds weren't too bad. When I got there, I was in a stack behind two of the trikes. There was David Messenger, there was some other guy, sorry I don't know your name, in a trike, and then there was me in the stack. And David Messenger set his wing out, but then decided not even to attempt because the wind now was getting quite strong. The next trike he just packed up, did the same thing. He had his wing out, didn't even attempt it, put his wing away, got packed up. Me, I felt confident. Right, chubbies, should be recording. Let's get this party on the road. We've got a lot of wind. Switching directions. A couple of trikes have already ditched the idea. You can't blame them. So let's just get started. Clear prop. quiet. Probably recording, you're not seeing much flying. It's too windy. All the trikes have packed up now. He's sat, parked. I don't know what's happened to the wing here. Let's have a look. But I just got dragged backwards, and to be honest with you, I could have gone and got the wing up and above. Because it was dragging me back and didn't stop, I took the power off, and I should have kept the power on just to brace against that, you know, the backwards pull. It was a rookie mistake, but everybody seems to be making it. So just going to see if we can see what's happening with the wing here. Just grab. It's a windy day.
Very windy to be flying a trike.
Yeah, I think so, but
you just watched your fellow trike fly land over there,
yeah,
you'll see how much difficulty he had landing.
Yeah.
His wing relaunched 3 times and he nearly tipped over twice. It was fucking hectic, and I don't want to run that far to help him. That's the trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
He himself over there, I'm going to go get the van. A lot of them are risking their lives to win a trinket.
Yeah, yeah. So
I personally would stay on the ground.
yeah, well, I'm thinking very much about doing that.
So I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to launch, I'm going to go and have a cup of tea.
Yeah, have a cup of tea. If
You'll
I
notice by the fact that there's no one on the field,
yeah,
you're the bravest at the moment.
yeah, that's right.
Bravery doesn't really have a part in this game.
Yeah, yeah, but that's how winners get points.
You have to win that trinket, put it on your gravestone.
Right, what I have to say is, it's a pity I didn't get on video. So this wind is well out of range, and what tends to happen with a trike is when the wind comes up through the power zone, that wind just drags you backwards, and the danger is you go backwards and it tips you backwards and you smash your prop and everything, you turtle. And that's happened. A few people have had that issue. Now I don't know whether it's just my ballast or what, but I was really impressed because the wing, I mean, I did a stupid thing, is I throttled off, and then the trike ran backwards at quite a pace, and not once did the wheel feel like it was lifting. It almost felt as stable going backwards as it did going forwards. That was pretty impressive. It was quite windy, but the reason I felt confident is I've had quite a few windy day takeoffs down here at Fat Paramotor HQ. I kind of I'm okay in the stronger winds. I'm not too bad, but there is a limit to the strength of the wind because of the tendency to pull the trike backwards. And if it pulls it backwards far enough, or if the wind gets out of hand behind you and starts dragging you, you've no control in a trike. You're strapped in. You can't just turn on your feet and start controlling the wing down. All you can basically do is just grab hold of a handful of brake and try and bring the wingtip in. And I had a go with the launch. I got the wing above my head and the trike started rolling backwards. And I had, well, 3/4 of the power on. Hadn't really checked the backwards pull, but the wing was more or less overhead. And I was almost going to squirt the rest of the throttle on, get moving forwards and fly, but then I got Marshall red flagged. So I ended up letting the power off, which turned out to be not the best decision, because when I powered off then we started racing backwards even faster. But we managed to abort safely. I did have another go, considering resetting up again and having another go, based on the fact that I thought I was almost away. But in that period, that 20 minutes period, it went from edge of flyable to absolutely a no-go. And while I was just resetting the wing out or wrestling it, because now I couldn't even get it to lay on the floor, it was jumping all over the place. And in that period, the whole of the field emptied. So I lost the flying window, and that's all down to the early bird catching the worm, being competition ready. And I guess it's that attitude. If you really want to win in one of these competitions, you've got to get up, be prepared, get onto that field early and make the most of the flying window. And that's part of the competition skills. So it's not all about what you do when you're in the air. It's about making the most of the flight windows that you have available. I think that, we had a smaller flight window being trikes, but, I think Alex got up, I don't know if anybody else did. He made the most of the flying window, and I guess that's why Alex came second, and because of that slightly more competitive mentality, which I'll have next year, I promise. Where are we? Retractor trike. There's a field of trikes. All sat still because the wind was just too strong for most of us. I think we got up a bit late. Well, I got up a bit late. Flying window was at 7. I wasn't in the field till about 8, and the wind was just getting up too strong, and had me dragging backwards. Say with Dave Messenger there in the Nirvana, and I think that trike's been out. The trouble is, it's a toss-up between enjoying yourself and having a beer the night before, having a bit of a lie-in, or entering the competition, and hover between the two. So motivated enough to get out at 8, not motivated enough to get out at 7, and that was a bit of a fatal flaw. But as I said, I'm not in it to win it, just in it to take part, and so didn't get out flying today, so I don't think I've got many points, but it doesn't matter. I think that's Daniel Jones that's just come down, I'm not sure. You can, old awnings flashing about, so that's it. I think I'll put my trike out the sun. Oh, it's blowing the chairs over and everything. Oh, not good for a big wing. So the trouble is, my Orca is 41 square metres, and it's a hell of a kite to have out in this kind of a wind. And I thought I'd nailed it at first, but I just ended up getting dragged backwards. But I have to say, the old retractor, it goes as well backwards as it does forwards. Anyway, catch you soon. Right, chubby chasers, it's a windy day. Winded off for me. A few pilots got off, some of the keen ones. A couple of broken props today. One poor fella, I don't know who you are if you're watching, looks like he minced his wing and lost his prop, got spun in the wind. It's howling. I had to go earlier on, just out of range, so those keen foot launch pilots got off early, they'll be good. In fact, a trike got up as well earlier on, just not me, I'm afraid, but just as well, I don't think I fancy landing in this. Anyway, we're having a good time. This is Donna, one of the marshals. Say hello.
Hello everybody.
There we go. That's the marshal tent somewhere, isn't it? I can't see it in the thing here. But there's Donna. She's the one that tells you off when you do things wrong, don't you?
I'm Auntie Donna.
Auntie Donna.
And I look after
Auntie Donna.
everybody.
Auntie Donna. Thank you, Donna. More,
I do like the shirt, young man.
more dodgy marshals here. You like this, innit? Keep your eye on that one. He's a bit of a strange fella. Yeah. Oh, there's the marshal tent behind me. These are the guys looking after us. Oh, there's another toilet there. Look, I went too bloody far for the other one. I went right down past I walked past it. So, yeah.
Well, they train the driving. Yeah, they do.
There's the old briefing tent down there. You have to walk all the way down here. There we go. All the way up there we are, and you have to come all the way down to the briefing tent down there several times a day. Feet are killing me. Do more walking than flying. Day 2 then. So 2 wind day. Plenty of sunburn here, chubbies. Laid in my bed now where it's cool. Just catching up on some rest. I hope I've got a few points, because my goals for the paramotor competition were not to break myself, not to break any gear, and the third was not to come last. Fourth is to get at least 1 or 2 points. I'm still sweating on that gate thing, but hopefully I got some points. Hopefully all's not lost. I don't know whether we're going to get any more flying in now, because it's blown out tomorrow as well. Oh, swap hands. Hands are aching. So the only flying I might have done was that hour and 20 minutes yesterday. But it was good to enter anyway. So let's see how far down the board I am. Kind of thinking, well, coming last might be better than coming second to last. At least I get the wooden spoon. Anyway, gonna have a bit of a rest. Oh, Daniel's back. Daniel got out today, but he said he was a bit green when he landed. It was quite rough, so maybe it wasn't a bad idea that I didn't get into the air at all. Anyway, catch up soon. Day 2, not so good. Day 3 might be a beer day. Let's see. Right, chubbies, looks like we're getting rained off. This is day 3. So if I haven't already told you, day 2 was a whitewash. Oh, they're all coming off now. I was just walking down. I'm going to walk back. Day 2 was a whiteout. It was blown out. Far too windy. It was gusting horrendous 30 odd miles per hour. So it was completely unflyable. Oops. Completely unflyable yesterday afternoon. Rain on the lens now. Bit of ground handling practice.
Very windy.
You know. Oh, here we go. Can't look in.
Oh, I had it and then it just started getting a bit windier and on.
Okay, now I can.
Forward speed.
Okay. Right, so even the ground handling competition's coming to an end now because the wind's up too much. Bit of shame. So the States of Valley competition, there was more than 5 hours flying. There wasn't 5 hours with the trike flying, though, I don't believe, but it doesn't matter because I think most of us aren't in it because we want to be champions. We're in it because we wanted to take part. The wind, as you can see, I don't know if you can see the windsock. I've got the focal range set right for seeing much in the background, but it was rainy first day, windy every day since. I mean, and it is howling. Get some of these windsocks here. I don't know if you can see. And gusty, pretty gusty. But anyway, we've had a good time. Just run out of water in the motorhome, so the wife's not happy. She was in the shower, all soaked it with conditioner in her hair, and ran out of water. So that's the thing when you're bringing a lady with you, you need lots of water because they like showers and things. Don't need a shower. Anyway, what's this? Northern skies. Who are they? Right, everybody's coming in by the looks of it. We'll go and see. So that was it for me that day. But I was very keen to learn exactly how I'd done the day before. I'd got two anxieties. The first anxiety was, did I hit the gate? Because I'd been messing around with my trimmers. I can't remember when I recall whether I'd consciously made sure I'd gone through the gate or whether I'd just veered off from the airfield sorting out the trims. I'm not 100% sure. Part of me thinks I probably did go through the gate, but I wasn't 100% sure. But if you don't go through the gate, you don't lose all the points. You lose 20% though. But bearing in mind that I wasn't really in it to win it. I was in it for the experience and see how well I'd done. It wouldn't have upset me. It would have been a learning point about the gate. And I wanted to see what I'd done with the turn points. But sadly, Chubsters, got some really bad news. And that is that my whole track log for that 1 hour, 20-minute flight was lost. It was corrupted. Funnily, I got the takeoff and we got the landing, but we lost the whole track. The track was corrupted, and the competition officials they had a go at trying to retrieve the track. They looked on the tracker to see if they could get it off there, and they couldn't do. So I'd lost it, and I'm not the only one that happened to. It happened to Daniel Jones as well, but luckily those who are competition savvy, who have got some awareness of this, they carry backup loggers, and that's definitely something I'm going to have for next year. But really sad. I am a little bit wounded about that. It's not because I wanted placing in the competition, just because I really wanted my track to see how I'd done and have a look and something to improve on. So that's the way that it goes. It can only happen to me. So I've no idea at all how I did in the competition, and I might have. I doubt I'll have done very well, but I might have done better than I thought, at least on the tasks that I did. So sorry, Chubsters. No points, even though it's not really no points. I got a few more, honestly. Just corrupted track log, nil point. So that was it, and so Friday afternoon, completely blown out. Saturday morning, we got up Saturday morning, completely blown out. I mean, it was howling. We're talking about winds of over 30 miles per hour, and I kind of thought, that's it then. That's the end of the championship for me. There's going to be no more flyable windows now, and I've already lost the track that I've done, and I didn't think there was any point in hanging around any longer from Saturday. We're there till about Saturday lunch, because I would have, I wasn't considering doing any more flying, or I didn't believe we would be doing any more flying. Add that to the fact that I was back at work on Monday. It's about a 6-hour drive back. So I thought if I stay Sunday, stay for the award ceremony, drive back after that, I'll be back home late at night, diving into bed, getting up at 5:30 for work the next morning. And I thought maybe we'll head back and then we can have a day, chilling out and things, and I can follow what's happened from there. Turned out to be a slight mistake, because for some magical reason, on the Saturday when it was blowing and forecast to be blowing, it really settled down in the evening, and the guys managed to get in a spot landing in a Skittles competition, which I'd practiced for. I'd practiced for the spot landing. The one part of the competition that I've been playing around and practicing in is spot landing, and I missed that. So again, I doubt it would have put me on the top of the podium, but I wanted some idea of how I'd done. So I did regret it a little bit, but there's part of me that thinks it was the right decision to come back. So anyway, that's more or less it. Daniel Jones won, second year in a row. I've done a podcast with Daniel, all about the championships. I'll let you know when it's released. Look out for that. I did want to take this opportunity to thank the organisers of the British Open Paramotor Championships. There were 70 pilots entered, 70. And apparently that is the most that they've ever had entered into the British Open Paramotor Championships. But the whole event, organising it with the marshals, the camping, toilets, there weren't enough, but toilets and everything else, was an incredible feat. There were a few things that can be learned from that from an organisational point of view, I'm fairly sure, and I know the organisations are looking at the learning points, but they did a cracking job given that there was such an extraordinary amount of people that have entered this year. And I have to say, I moaned about my lack of sleep during the championship. I bet the organisers had a lot less sleep, particularly Barney, that's for sure. So a personal thank you for that championship, and I'll see you there next year. Bye for now.